Am I wrong for being upset about how my siblings vented about me? This may be a long one, and I'm sorry in advance. I, 27F, am a single mother of one. I recently had to move back home with my parents due to financial issues because I am currently in a custody battle. For a bit of context, the father of the child was not involved in my child's life for over a year and was an abusive alcoholic when we were together. We struggled to co-parent, and that led to the no-contact period. To be frank, I'm exhausted, physically and mentally. I wish I could say that my family is understanding of my situation, but honestly, I am the only sibling that has any kids. I understand that people help where they can, and I appreciate it so much. Sometimes I take a few minutes to myself while I encourage my kid play independently, but sometimes my son will go to their aunts or uncles and ask them to play. They don't always have the capacity to play, which is understandable because neither do I. I don't expect them to take care of my son or play with him all the time, but again, I appreciate when they do. I am, maybe was now, super close to my sisters. I would drop everything for every single one of them and go lengths for them. Like planning memorable birthdays, baking/cooking for their events and fundraisers, doing their hair and makeup for special events like prom or sports, etc. My sisters and I have all had issues with my brother in the past and are not comfortable around him. We never had a close relationship as he was always rude to me when we were young. Then he would say and do very odd things. For example, as adults he would tell me in detail about his one-night stand, then told me a few weeks later he was dating his one-night stand's 18-year-old sister. He was roughly 25 to 26 years old. He started kissing me on the cheek, and I was not comfortable with that as we have always had a side hug type of relationship, if that, and would tell me about how a girl he's talking to reminds him of me, or one of our sisters. There are so many reasons I am uncomfortable with him, but maybe that will be another post, or if there is a need for more context I can add. But I never let the things he has done to me in the past interfere with his relationship with his nephew, my son. Now, I am far from the perfect parent, however. I do try my best. I provide all the things my kid needs and some. I teach him the importance of his feelings and boundaries. He is a great kid and is so kind, but he still struggles to do some things independently. Then again, he's only 4, so what can I expect? We spend a lot of time together playing, being outside, or going to some of his favorite places like nature centers or science museums. Again, I am exhausted from being a full-time parent, full-time employee. Sometimes I even work 2 jobs if I can fit it in my schedule, and full-time eldest daughter in an Asian household. I kick. Recently in my custody case, I had an evaluation at our home, which is standard. However, the day of the evaluation my son came to me and asked me, "Why did Uncle say you're a bad mom?" This was the last thing I should have heard from my kid, even if there wasn't an evaluation. I found out that him and one of my sisters, let's call her V, have been venting about me, saying that my son is always playing on his own and I need to come get my kid, claiming I never clean up after my son, and that I'm just a bad mom. Another sister, we can call her B, happened to be present during this conversation. She stayed quiet to hear what they had to say. They even went as far as saying that I have been acting poorly towards them lately, which I understand to some extent from V, at least, as she was being rude to our younger sister, B, and I. I was not standing for it, so I called her out for it. V had mentioned that she was on her period one day, and I said to her, "I hope that's why you've been so rude lately." She would say hurtful things to B, and I would say, "Don't be a bitch" to her. So I was a bit of a jerk, but I stand up for all my sisters when one is acting up towards the other because I care for all of them. So I would have done the same for her and have done the same for her in the past. However, my brother has no ground to stand on for speaking of me that way. To me, venting is talking to someone about how something has affected me personally and not just trash-talking someone. In that aspect, even if I was a bad mom, which I am not, does it warrant them talking about me so poorly and openly in front of my kid, knowing what I've gone through and am currently going through? Truthfully, I am heartbroken that they would speak this way about me in general, and I am shattered that they would say it in front of my son. I'm also surprised that V would even talk to our brother this way because she is my brother's biggest hater and speaks poorly of him and doesn't claim him as a brother. The evaluation went great and my son, thankfully, did not mention what his uncle had said to him during it. Unfortunately, though, he still brings it up from time to time. I haven't spoken to either about what happened. They went at B for telling me things that they had said and called her a snitch and even told her it's her fault my brother doesn't get included in sister dates. She's 14. But she stuck up for me and told them that I do a lot for them and I deserve to know how poorly they think of me. I do really appreciate her for telling me. V also ran to our mom to tell her about the situation, and our mom has said I have no reason to be upset because they were just venting, which also stung. Since this situation, I have distanced myself from those two siblings and have stopped cleaning up after them and considering them when I am baking or cooking something special. They called me petty and continue to say I have no reason to be upset. Am I wrong for being upset that they vented to each other about me? Am I wrong for how I have distanced myself from them? What should I do? I'm at a loss as I live in the same home with all of them and feel the tension shift if I even make eye contact with them. I'm just so sad.